come tax time, folks usually are sorting through receipts trying to figure out what they can deduct and what they can't. And one of the things that taxpayers almost always have receipts for are medical expenses. There's actually a whole list of things that you can claim, and those can include things that make sense, such as prescription costs, but things you might also not think about, such as parking, other transportation costs, and in some cases, even overnight stays where you might be, for example, taking care of a dependent. So what you want to do is you want to add up not only the obvious costs, but you want to get receipts for everything. Medical expenses don't have to be limited to obvious physical afflictions. The IRS and the medical community both recognize that there can be emotional and psychological issues which require treatment. So visits to psychologists and psychiatrists would also qualify for purposes of the medical expense deduction. One of the most significant medical expenses is the cost of health insurance premiums. For a family, this can quickly rise to more than $10,000 a year, especially if you pay your own premiums. The cost that you pay for out-of-pocket for health insurance premiums is going to be deductible as a medical expense. You can also deduct certain kinds of supplies that are related to illnesses. Generally, medications and other supplies need to be prescribed by a doctor in order to be deductible. This would include prescription medications, but it would exclude things that you get over the counter, like your ibuprofen and your aspirin, unless they're specifically prescribed by a doctor. You can't just deduct the cost of the ace bandage that you bought at the CVS. There is an exception to the rule that you need a prescription for all medications and supplies, and that tends to relate to diabetic supplies. The IRS understands that there are certain kinds of supplies, such as needles, that are going to be required even if they're not prescribed in order to administer medication for diabetics. And generally, those are going to be deductible even without a prescription.